Welcome to the Spotlight Podcast, where we put the spotlight on great entrepreneurs and leaders from across the world. Now, here is your host, Mr. Markus Cobb.
What's going on, everybody? This is Markus Cobb. I am the host of the Spotlight, where we bring you the best and the brightest young entrepreneurs, VPs, and definitely leaders in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I am so happy and pleased to have probably, a down-to-earth brother who I just met this last week, and just was really amazed by our conversation that we talked about, just not just life, but just investing, really learning about different things going on. And for me, I just, it's really hard to come across, a lot of people like that. So without further ado, I'm not going to delay it or, keep it long, but, I really want to introduce Mr. Victor Johnson, who is definitely a trailblazer here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm just going to say that he is, coming from, for both of us, coming from a different, from the same city, where we both worked, we both have a lot in common. So I just really want to take the time to really interview him, and also give much respect to what he has to offer. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce him. Mr. Johnson, are you here?
I am here. Happy to be here, Marcus. This is a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. First of all, I really want to talk about the book. You gave this gift to me that really had just brought a lot of things to light for me, and I really want to talk more about it. And it's called The Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness. So if you could sum up one word to describe the book, what would that be and why?
So the one word I would say is mindset, because in the book I delve into the challenges that I ran into growing up as with a single mom in Oakland, California was the original place where I was born and raised in that area. And we were on, welfare, food stamps, just like so many other people, right? Single mom there. But the mindset that I needed to overcome that life, because I went through after that a life of paycheck to paycheck, living bad debt and all this other stuff. But the book in general is really about having the right mindset to overcome those things, and not only to overcome, but to also be able to flourish and thrive into, for me, the real estate world is where I've been able to be successful these last few years. So the one word is mindset. It requires the right mindset in order to overcome those things and to achieve other successes.
Oh, yes, well, definitely. When you mentioned, the mindset is, for me, I really had to have the right mindset to really start doing new things. I really had to have the right mindset to go out there and make things happen. I couldn't just have the same mindset that I had in my job, because it takes a different type of, mindset, takes a different type of, I would say courage, but also I would say just the right attitude. Yeah. Because it's not easy out here. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to step out there in faith, despite all the obstacles, despite, the pushback. So I definitely agree with you that the mindset is right there.
Absolutely. And just the last piece on the mindset, because a lot of people ask, well, what do you mean mindset? Mindset is your approach. It's how you approach things, and so the mindset is very important no matter what you're doing.
Oh, definitely. And tell us, what really motivated you to get into, finances, and, real estate, I would say?
So I'm in my 40s now. I've tried to take good care of myself, so I probably don't look exactly that, thank God. But since like 1995, like we're talking about kind of pre-internet world, and those of you that are old enough to appreciate this, you remember after midnight, they would have these infomercials. They would have these TV commercials that would come on, hey, get into real estate, get into this, invest in that. And so that was the very first peak of my interest in real estate investing. And surprisingly enough, I later found out that both of my grandmothers, my mom's mother and my dad's mother, both invested in real estate in the 60s as black women, which is extremely rare. So
Yeah,
I was
it is.
inspired by that. And more recently, I've finally positioned myself financially to be able to do some things, and I overcame those fears. And I was just intrigued by how many people are successful in real estate. You know, they always talk about 90% of millionaires in the world have real estate in their portfolio. So I thought it was important for me to invest as well when the opportunity presented itself.
Most definitely. For me, I was always fascinated with real estate. Ever since I was a child, I loved houses. I loved going into new homes, and I was always fascinated as I got older, really learning about the process of real estate investing. And so it's very rare, even in your story, two women back then who really were taking the initiative to invest together. You really don't hear a lot of those stories. So for me, that's it's really good.
Yeah,
So I love
it was
Yeah.
impressive. I mean, my grandmother, my dad's mom, was in Albany, New York, in the '60s, which that's a whole nother type of poverty that many people
No.
don't experience. But she was buying duplexes at that time and renting them out in the
Yes.
'60s, man. So again, I didn't. She passed on before I really got a chance to dig deeper into that. But as I got older and started learning more about her story, it was just impressive to me.
Oh, it's good. Now we're gonna dive into the book. There's one thing because I'm almost finished the book, and I'm just fascinated with it because it's really down to earth. It's like to the point, and this is what I express to you, and I just really love it. And in the book, you describe the law of attraction, and I wanted you to give us an example of how this applies to our daily lives.
So the law of attraction is basically having very vivid, clear images of where you want to go in life. So, if you have a very clear vision of it, then it's easier for you to achieve it. If you think about a GPS, we get in the car and we want to go somewhere, but a GPS has no way to tell you how to get there unless you have a clear vision of the address that you want to go to.
Correct.
So that would be a good analogy of how law of attraction works in our own lives. If you have vision boards, if you can kind of see the future of yourself and even act it out already, a lot of times you'll start to attract things that just fall in line with that vision. And you don't have to understand where it's coming from, how it's going to happen, who's the person that's going to make it happen for you. You just got to stay locked in on that vision. And as you get out into the world, everything looks like an opportunity for that vision to you. And so because of that, it attracts to you. And, there's a statement that I say a lot is what you focus on expands. So as you focus on these things, just the opportunity expands around you. So the law of attraction, and in my exact example, it's in the book as well, is I wanted to be a next level manager, and I was in a call center. I come from a collections background, and
Yes.
all the big money hitters, were doing certain things. And so I started dressing like them, carrying a briefcase, went to Goodwill and bought me blazers and got them cleaned and stuff, and just started acting as if I was already at those levels. And so lo and behold, some opportunities just opened up for me, and obviously part of it is probably people seeing my desire to be successful, but just the whole mindset. There were things happening to me that I would have never imagined. It's like, this has to be the law of attraction in play right now.
Oh, wow. And when I also think about, in your words, the law of attraction, when you mention where you want to go, your vision, they also talk about when I was growing up, like a vision board as well. So I was taught by some family members and some friends that I wanted, if I had this big dream, I had this big vision, I was always going to post and cut out things in a magazine or so, a picture where I wanted to be in 30 years. So I did that, and so I always thought that the big vision was having that nice big home and the nice car, and always taken care of financially. So when just the vision itself, now when I look at it, is that I truly just want to be financially sound. I want to be invested, not just in real estate, but just in the stock market as well. So that's one of the things that you talk about really in the book. So
Yes.
I'm just very intrigued by that. And when we come from similar cities, opportunities were presented. However, they don't appear as they may. What advice would you give to millennials that need to really start over, that are just really getting out of college and fresh out of there, but they have debt and they are looking to invest? They're looking to, step into that leap of entrepreneurship.
First thing I would tell them is get the book, Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness.
Almost
You can
definitely.
get it on my website, Nico Dime Projects, or VictorVJohnson.com. But it gives a lot of outlines because the exact pathway that I had to go is probably what a lot of millennials may want to follow to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that I ran into. So that would be one thing. Get some type of guidance, whether it's a book, my book, or somebody's book.
Definitely.
You got to find somebody that has already walked that pathway so that you can at least avoid some of those pitfalls. But secondly, we talked about this in our conversation. Sometimes you have to get away from the environment that is causing you to not be successful. Unfortunately, that can be family. It can be friends. It could be classmates. It could be, some of the people that you've just spent the last few years around. And, I speak at a lot of colleges and high schools here in the Dallas area, and I just spoke at Horn High School Tuesday. Shout out to Miss Christian over there in her class. But what I told them is look at your cell phone. Look at the last 5 people that you texted or received a text from. And are they bringing you up? Are they bringing you down? Because very much success and failure is happening within the environment that you create. So if you're not focused, that the people around you aren't focused, then they'll pull you down. And so I would say get the book and then take a quick look at your environment and make sure it supports the vision that you have for your future.
Most definitely. And to piggyback off of that, I absolutely followed that advice as well. Coming from the city of Baltimore, we're a city that has, so much chaos. I had, enough courage to leave that environment because it was very toxic, very didn't have the ability to grow and do incredible things. And so I left my family. I mean, I love my family very much, but you love them at a distance. You got to be able to see yourself in a different light. You got to see yourself where they don't see you. So, and sometimes it takes a lot to really relocate and go to a new city and start over. But for me, I absolutely agree. And I was always careful of, being able to choose the people that I was around. And not many people have that luxury because it's easier just to be around people that, have the similar interests.
Right.
But if you're looking to grow and really looking to go to the next level, you have to step out that comfort zone and gain that mentorship, whether it's from a millionaire, from an investor, or a teacher, or somebody, guidance counselor if you're in college or something. So that's very important, and I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I would just say on that is you don't have to completely cut these people off.
Correct.
But you may want to put them in a different category. These are, I used to tell my son, you have your friends that you like to game with. You got your friends that you're trying to grow with, and so you got to figure out which group they are and then kind of, figure out where you need to be.
Definitely. And, speaking of millennials, a lot of us have habits that are harmful to our futures. In chapter 3, you mentioned some examples of changes that we can make to save money each month. Could you give us like 3 examples? Because for me, I struggled with this, I would say, years ago, and it was just really good to see, examples of that in your book. So I really would like for you to elaborate on that.
So one thing that I did, and let me first say that I spent almost 20 years as a bill collector, managing bill collectors, and so I was, the one teaching people how to negotiate to force people to pay their bills, right? And I was going home avoiding those calls from bill collectors of my own. So I come from that world. Trust me, I'm not no better than anybody else when it comes to that. So the things that I did, though, first of all, was started tracking my money. And at that time, there was an app out called Mint, MINT.com, I actually posted on LinkedIn yesterday about a new app that one of my clients actually introduced to me, one of my credit repair clients, and it's called Truebill, TRUEBILL.com. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but it's an app that helps you to track your dollars. It'll let you know if you have subscriptions out there that you have forgotten about and it's still being deducted from your bank account. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we're spending money and we don't even remember that we spent that money. It's like, oh my God, I got this subscription, this and that. So that will be one thing, is find a tool to help you track your dollars. Secondly is there's no easy way around it. You got to pay your bills. Right. Once you figure out that budget and you figured out where your money's coming, where it's going, and you cut out all the crap out of there, now it's time to get serious about actually paying those bills that you do have to pay. And paying them on time is 35% of your credit score. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. And then, again, it kind of goes back to that whole vision board. Like, where are you trying to go? And so hopefully the vision that you have for yourself is taking you into a place that helps you increase your earnings. So as you grow more money, then don't go out there and start buying more Jordans and, getting the next big size car that you want. Start putting that money aside.
That's right. And
I think it's really important to start building a savings account that has at least $1,000 in their emergency fund, because about 70% of Americans don't even have $400 to grab at if an emergency pops up. So, you want to have those are the type of things that cause us to run to the credit card and create more debt, go out and get a title loan and create an expensive debt. So track your dollars, be in a position where you can confront your bills that you do have and paying them on time, and then find ways to increase your earnings.
Definitely. And so many things really jumped out to really give you a better glimpse. It's just, for me, I never forget when several people have, come to me and told me about the horror stories of, title loans, mm-hmm. and told me about payday loans and everything. And you see them so many in the neighborhoods and everything. And you always wonder what motivates someone to go into them places knowing that, they're charging you so much interest and so much debt, when you really have to take the time to really focus on your finances, especially for, not just millennials, but for couples and everybody. Yes. So it's huge. And that's one of the things for couples is probably the top thing that really breaks them up. Mm-hmm. So that's, very huge.
Yeah,
so.
And we have to exercise patience and discipline.
Definitely.
Sometimes you just don't need it. You don't have to have that, whatever it is that we're talking about. We're getting ready to walk into holiday season. You don't have to get everybody a gift. And it doesn't have to be paid for. If you do decide it, maybe go get 50 cards and write a thank you. Hey, I appreciate what you've done for me in the 2019 year. That's a great gesture to somebody. We don't have to go out and spend $100, $200 to show your love for people. So that would be something. Be disciplined and be patient with yourself.
Definitely. And now moving into a particular topic that, I'm very gaining so much, respect for, but gaining a lot of more knowledge each and every day, which is investing. And investing is such a broad topic, but for all of us, you would say it's probably the best investment for African Americans, for us. And what would you say? I would honestly say, what would make that probably the best thing for us to pay off in the long run, I would say.
As far as real estate investing?
Yes, real estate.
So for me, I do buy and hold real estate, which means that I'm buying properties at a wholesale rate that need some kind of rehab done on them. We fix them up, and then I'm renting those out to good families, people that we vetted out and screened and whatnot. But because I'm doing buy and hold, it's a longer growth to the money. Correct. But, the longer you wait on it, the more that you can get. You want fast money, or do you want long, slow, long-term money? And for me, it's really important that I build generational wealth. I want to have something to pass down to my kids. And I actually, as of a few days ago, November 10th, I just have now a granddaughter that I need to be thinking about in life.
Wow.
But real
Congratulations.
estate, thank you so much. I think real estate is such a stable, investment because over, decades, it's consistently shown growth. And you look at a city like Dallas where the appreciation rate, meaning that the value that goes up on that investment in a 12-month span this last year, 2018 to 2019, if you bought a property in July of 2018 for $100,000, by July 2019, the odds are great that went up by about 10% in value. So that means that $100,000 house, basically doing no kind of rehab to it, is now worth $110,000 12 months later. So it's hard to pass up on those type of investment opportunities. Plus, the way that the IRS codes are written, they give a lot of benefits to real estate investors and people that own properties. Even if you're not an investor, if you buy a primary home, that is probably the best investment for your family. It forces savings upon you because, again, you're paying a mortgage down and you're building the value up. So for me, real estate was the way to go. And I have, my wife and I invest in, we have IRA and 401ks and stuff like that. But, I think the big play came from the real estate move.
Oh, wow. And to elaborate on that, for me, when you invested in real estate, when was like the big breakthrough? When was the, like we finally made it? We finally are out of poverty. We finally, now we can do what we want to do. We can change everything. When was that breakthrough?
So, and I don't want to sell anybody a pipe dream here. The breakthrough came before I even bought the real estate. It came from doing those daily disciplines with our finances, attacking our debt. Again, I had horrible credit. My credit score was in the 500s for more than 15 years. I'm talking about raising kids and driving nice cars and living in good places and wearing nice clothes and eating out. But my debt was horrible. And so the real breakthrough came when we decided to address those things. But to answer your question more specifically, we bought a property in San Antonio in 2015, and we rented it out for 2 years. And in 2017, we sold that property. So our out-of-pocket was $10,000, was the down payment and closing costs in 2015. When we sold that property, we walked away from the closing table with $43,000. So that was a breakthrough. That was a huge breakthrough for us because it gave us the opportunity to go and do that with 2 more properties and put that money to good use and let it continue to work for us. And, for those that are listening, millennials, older people, whoever is listening, don't be the only one working for your money. Have your money working for your money. It's called compound interest. And so when your dollar is working, it's working a lot more harder and a lot faster than you can, multiply that money. So you do your thing, but also have your money doing a little bit of something too. So that was the breakthrough, was probably that first rental property 2 years later when we were able to sell it. We took away, we did the numbers several times over. We basically made about 280% on our cash investment on that property when we look at everything, the rent, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's so good. It's the best investment. For most people, just for millennials, I think is really something to look into, definitely. But when you mention one of the things that's huge before you even got into the real estate was credit, and you specialize in that. So I wanted you to tell us why credit is so important, especially going into real estate, because without good credit, you really it's kind of difficult to really invest.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of difficult to get a home without good credit. So I really wanted you to elaborate why credit is so important.
So as of 2019, which is the year we're in, credit has become more important in any lending situation at this point, right? So there's several benefits to having positive credit, but the big one, if you're going to invest in real estate, whether it's a primary home or a investment property, is that one, you can get approved if your credit score is over that, 620, 640. You really want to be a 680 on all FICO scores, which is, we can go into that in a moment. But you want your credit scores over 681 so that you can get approved in the first place, to get the money that you need, because wealth comes from leveraging other people's money, right? So in order to get other people's money, they want to see that you are handling the money that you've had before responsibly, or that you've paid off those things that you were irresponsible about. The second benefit of it is that you can get a better rate on the money that you borrow. So if you had a credit score of 680 versus somebody who can get approved for a loan at 620, there's a huge difference in the percentage rate of the interest that you'll pay on those dollars that you borrow. So for example, we talk about people that get their homes financed or vehicle financed, and I always show an example. I have a chart on our little introductory thing that we show to people, and it shows a 620 score versus a 700 credit score. And a house, you could literally pay $40,000 more in interest. Now, of course, people will refinance later, but if you were to stay in that loan for 30 years with a lower credit score versus somebody with a 700 credit score, you're paying for that house 2 times. So the cost of money is important when it comes to your credit. So it's important that we really focus on that credit. And one other piece I'll say about that is I spoke to a insurance broker recently, and he even mentioned that a 20-year-old with a credit score of 700 will get a better rate on their insurance than a 35-year-old with a 600 credit score. So I remember a point when I was so excited, I can't wait to be 25 because I know my car insurance will go down. Now they're going to look at your credit first, and then your age is a factor. So make sure your credit is definitely something that you look at if you're out there listening and trying to really get your finances right.
And what are some basic tips that people could do to increase their score? And now that we're going into 2020, I know that most people are looking to really own their finances and really fix, their credit. So what are some of the basic things that they could do?
So number one, pay bills on time. And a lot of times there's, especially in the millennials, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, so the money may not be as consistent as far as getting a check every 2 weeks. So automate bills, though, as often as you can. If you can automate the payments so you don't forget to pay, or even if it's a credit card payment, even if you got to do it with the minimum payment every month, to start out, I would say definitely paying bills on time. There's no way around that piece, right? And then the second one is manage your utilization. So you get a credit limit. Let's say you have a credit card and they issue you a $1,000 credit limit. Well, anytime you charge over 50% of that, so $500 on that $1,000 credit limit, your credit score is going to drop, right? So I always encourage people to keep your credit limits under 30%. I know I just said 50, but if you can keep it under 30, that's even better utilization, which means that's a higher scoring. If you can keep it under 10%, then that's even better. That's the 700 club, right? And then the other thing that I would say to do is, again, figure out a way that you can try to increase your earnings. But if you are somebody out there that has tough credit, it's still okay to become an authorized user on someone else's credit card if they're managing their debt, very low credit limits. This has often been done by grandparents and aunties and uncles may say, okay, you just graduated, I'm going to add you to my credit card. I'm not going to give you a credit card, but I will add you to that account, and you benefit from their history of positive payments. So paying on time, manage your credit card utilization, and potentially being added as an authorized user to a good paying credit consumer.
Oh, wow. And one of the, I guess I could say, I had suffered years ago, I suffered bad credit as well. And for me, I was able to raise it as well. And a lot of the things that were on like my credit, and it was a lot of late payments, a lot of being behind. And so I truly understand why it's so important to have good credit. And for all of you out there that are definitely looking to increase your score and definitely get on track, you definitely got to contact Mr. Johnson.
Please let me drop that website if you don't mind. I'm 50% owner of a credit restoration company, so definitely. Credit Restoration Mentors, creditrestorationmentors.com, or you can obviously reach out to me, victorvjohnson.com, and we'll get you hooked up. But yes, thank you so much for that shout.
Definitely. And speaking of which, where can we also get more information about your other services, and definitely this great book. Where can we definitely get it? Is one place that I know I can get it, but definitely I want everybody to know where we can get more information.
So, my company name is Nico Dime Projects. That's the speaking platform, publishing that I put out. But to make it easier for spelling purposes, Victor V. Johnson directs to that same website. So VICTOR, V as in Victor, Johnson, JOHNSON.com. You can get all the information about me there as well. And then, of course, the book is available, Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness by Victor Vanico Johnson. You can go to Amazon if you got an Amazon account. Let that be one of your book of the months, please. Add that to your repertoire. Start 2020 off strong. Get inspired by this book. Get the mindset stuff. Attack your debts. Attract more money to you, and potentially learn how to get real estate investment as your portfolio. I talk about that all in chapter 8 and 9 of the book, Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness.
Oh, most definitely. And now that we're going into 2020, are there any projects and events that are coming up that are that you're really excited about? Definitely that you want people to know, because I know there's big things happening. So
thank you. Well, of course they could always visit the website for more information, but 2020 I'm setting it up for to be another big year for investing. I did put together a rental property investing course where I'm teaching people how to do this. And this year was kind of the testing ground for it. I have 3 clients that have been successful. I left earlier today from a property that one of my clients is buying, and I'm just super excited for their success because, again, I remember, those fearful moments of trying to invest and whatnot. So for 2020, it's really about really pushing out, teaching more people how to build generational wealth. You don't have to have a credit score of 700 to get in the game. You don't have to have $50,000 in savings, but, obviously all of that helps, but I'm teaching people ways that they can get in at basic, average consumer level and hopefully build something from there. So I'm really excited about that, as well as, again, doing more credit education, speaking more to colleges. I do a lot with Dallas County Community College District and, of course, high schools here in the Dallas area. I have a huge following in the Atlanta market and, of course, in the Bay Area, California. So I want to get out and speak. So anybody out there that's listening, if you want somebody like me to come in and teach your team about financial literacy, to teach your audience about credit, about how to get into real estate, or even how to become a successful entrepreneur, that's my platform. And so I'm excited about doing more of that and just making a bigger impact on the world.
Oh, man. Now, everybody, I just really want you to come really get out there and really support Mr. Johnson. Do buy his book, Proven Pathways to Wealth and Happiness. Definitely check him out on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all social media platforms. Thank you so much for coming through, Mr. Johnson, really telling your knowledge, giving your expertise. And definitely I'm going to be seeing more of you. We definitely are going to see more of you because I really want to have you back definitely in 2020 to give us more knowledge about investing in different areas. Mm-hmm. So I just thank you so much. This is going to conclude our episode number 3 with the Spotlight. I want everybody to have a good holiday, a good Thanksgiving. We will not be here next week, but coming back after the holiday, December, we're going to be back with, another guest, definitely spilling their knowledge about business ownership and definitely real estate. And I am going to conclude. This is your host, Markus Cobb, with the Spotlight. And as always, keep grinding. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Spotlight Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and other major podcast platforms.